Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2020 DC animation film Superman Red Son. A film that is directed by Sam Liu, and it's got the voice acting talents of people like Jason Isaacs and Amy Acker. And it is based on the Mark Millar graphic novel, I believe. And the premise of this film, essentially it's like an Elseworld story, and it asks the question, what would have happened if Kal-El's spaceship had landed in Russia and not Kansas in the USA, and if he'd have grown up in Stalin's era in Russia. Well, this film tells that story if you are interested, and it focuses on Superman who has grown up in Russia, feels like he's doing all the right things in Russia, and then realizes that he has been lied to, and that actually the government that he happily works for have been keeping things from him. He's Stalin, what do you expect, Superman? And then he decides to take over and then try and create this utopia all around the world in his own vision of peace. Right. But I don't really want to spoil a great deal, so that's kind of the story that we get here. So what are my thoughts on Superman Red Son? Well, I'm quite a big fan of the DC animated films. I've reviewed a few of them on the channel now. Some of them I think are really quite impressive, and I quite enjoyed this one, I'm not going to lie. I didn't know what to expect. I'm not usually a big fan of the Elseworld type stories. They can get a bit weird and convoluted. I didn't actually mind this one. I thought the concept was good, and the idea of, you know, what would happen if Superman grew up in Russia was interesting enough. It does suffer this, as many of the DC animated films do suffer from, is cramming them full of as many characters from the DC universe as possible. It's too many cooks spoil the broth scenario once again here, as we get in many of the DC films. I haven't read the original graphic novel, so I don't know an awful lot about the graphic novel and the original story of Red Son, but I doubt all the characters that are in this film appear in that graphic novel. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if you know that better than me, obviously. But you get Wonder Woman here, you get a Russian version of Batman here, you get Lex Luthor and Lois Lane, who are a couple in this film. You get Hal Jordan and the Green Lanterns. You get Brainiac. You get all these different characters. Now I suspect they've prized a few of them in here that didn't need to be prized in, but I could be wrong. It kind of dilutes the story a little bit, I think. Interestingly, it's set in like the 40s, and then it goes into the 50s, 60s and beyond. So you see like the likes of Lois Lane and Lex Luthor age as the film goes on. Superman doesn't, it would seem. Another thing that I wouldn't say annoyed me, but and again I don't know if it was in the original graphic novel, Wonder Woman in this film was a lesbian. She makes it quite clear when Superman makes advances on her, and she sort of says, back off, I live on an island full of women, you know, do the maths sort of thing. And I just thought, really? Is this a thing in this story, or did they just put it in this film to be, you know, woke and all this business? Who knows? So it was, I face palmed a little bit at that revelation in the film. I don't think it needed it, but it was a fun film with a fun story, and I loved the moral dilemmas it kept giving Superman to deal with, in a sense of he genuinely thought he was doing the right things throughout this film, and you could see he was essentially becoming a dictator himself as the film progressed. There's a story in it, like there's a Russian version of Batman who grows up to hate Superman and goes on the attack in this film. I was partially satisfied with that storyline in this film. I thought it worked okay, but elements of it felt a bit rushed. I think they could have stripped other elements of this film back and maybe expanded on that a little bit more. There's like this storyline with Superman and Wonder Woman in this film, whereas initially she kind of respects him, and then she grows to I don't know, dislike him by the end of the film, and which I found a bit odd, because he never really changed his whole outlook on morals throughout the whole film, the Superman. He always thought he was doing the right thing, and he never really escalated, you know, to full-on evil dictator or anything, even though you could see that's what he was becoming. So I didn't really understand her character arc as to how she went from admiring him and aligning with him at the beginning to almost becoming his enemy by the end, the Wonder Woman character. Strange character arc for Lex Luthor. In this film, he ends up becoming the president, which is not unusual for Superman stories, but you're not sure if he's a goodie or a baddie at times. It's a bit muddled. So whereas I think the story here is a little bit messy and muddled at times, I really like the question it asks. You know, what would Superman do if he grew up in Russia? And I did find it entertaining. The set pieces and the battles and the fights were all entertaining. The animation is what you expect with DC animation. It's quite cartoony, obviously, but you know what I mean. It doesn't feel like really gritty, dark animation or anything like that. It's kind of what you're used to with the DC animations. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I was suitably entertained with it, and I think fans of DC animated films will certainly find things here to enjoy. Thanks for watching, and of course I'll see you back here for more reviews on Screen Stars.